We're in the second year of this work, as you all know. So we started last year, and it has been going well. So we are going through these very significant changes in how we operate vineyards in California. We have a lot of pressure on our industry now, apart from labor shortages, market contraction. We're also dealing with environmental factors, as you all know. These sudden heat waves, trying to match irrigation amounts to these, so on and so forth. Appropriate irrigation amounts becomes an issue. With appropriate irrigation amounts, everyone's still looking for this high quality grapes, even though we're getting out of our comfort zone with these. Also, they're changing state legislation that's requiring us to preserve the water resources, not necessarily becoming more efficient in applying the water, because as we became more efficient in applying the water, agriculture expanded to new areas. So what the state wants us to do now is to apply the correct amount in the existing plantings that we have, rather than extending into new uncharted territories. So we wanted to aim and assess how Phyto-Cat may affect the whole plant physiology and the effects of these cascading to berry chemistry and then to quality perception in the case of wines. So we did this work at our research station in Napa. It was a dry growing season, as it usually is. And as things move on, we noticed that we have very intense light here. And then we have very high evapotranspiration rates. That means that whatever little water we're able to apply, we're able to evaporate it quite readily in these cases. So this is our station. We took about half an acre plot, and then it was applied here. And then we did 1, 2, and 4 according to manufacturer's recommendations, and then I tried to find the sweet spot in this case, and it was applied in whole rows. And then measurements were taken in this case, looking at leaf physiology, and then whole plant physiology, and of course berry chemistry. We did the berry and wine analyses. We looked at primary metabolites, and then we looked at secondary metabolites, both in the fruit and also in the wine in the end. And spectrophotometry was done only in the wine. We noticed something quite interesting here. So this vineyard was planted in 2011, and then the irrigation source, if we go back, you cannot see it here, but we have a retention pond on the north end of this vineyard. And then that's the only irrigation source. So from 2011 to 2019, it was managed very much like a commercial vineyard, and no cleaning, etc. was done. So when we started working with this, we immediately noticed this as soon as the stresses started revealing themselves. You can see that we have a much better plant water status with this 4 parts per million, and it's consistent throughout the year. So although it was injected into the irrigation stream at the head of the lateral, we were able to clean out these lines with the emitters quite well. So it's essentially delivering more water at the same rate of pumping. Okay, so typically we would like to see wine grapes anywhere between -10 to -1.2 megapascal stem water potential towards the end of the season. We were able to maintain this with 4 parts per million, but with 1 to 2 ppm, we were not able to see these, so they essentially behave the same based on plant water status. So this is the evolution of gas exchange over the growing season. Again, 4 parts per million is working very well. So these are the happiest plants. So looking at this stomatal conductance value, I would say that there's little to no stress here in 4 parts per million. 2 to 1 are behaving exactly the same. There's no mathematical or statistical difference between them. This is the amount of sunlight passing through the canopy. So they were measured top, middle, and bottom of the canopy. These are VSP trellises. You're able to see that 4 parts per million is a little bit crowded. Not too much sunlight is passing through them because they were grown much better compared to 1 or 2. This is the evolution of berry size over the growing season. So these were Cabernet grapes. In the end, they all behaved differently. We had the highest berry size with 4, middle with 2, smallest with 1. And this is very typical of what we would see if we were to apply different irrigation amounts throughout the season. This is the evolution of total soluble sugars. On your left y-axis, that's the increasing line. And the other one is titratable acidity. By the time harvest came, there was no mathematical difference in either one of them on primary metabolites. Okay, so they all ripened as far as making sugar. However, we saw a difference in the quality parameters, such as anthocyanins, etc. What we're seeing now, as far as biosynthesis goes, how much each plant was making, there was no statistical difference. But when we look at an amount of skin dry mass or berry fresh mass, what the winemakers would use, the final graph, we're seeing the least with 4 parts per million, middle with 2 parts per million, highest with 1 parts per million. And this is a dehydration effect with 1 parts per million and 2 parts per million. 4 parts per million is, essentially like a turgid. And these are flavonols. These are colorless compounds that would intercept the ultraviolet radiation. And in this case, we're seeing, a similar trend. If you recall, I said 4 parts per million. I was providing a little bit of shade, and that's why we're seeing the littlest amount of flavonols in this case. 1 part per million, it wasn't growing as much, so that got the most flavonol. So it does make sense how this is, behaving. And this is what we saw at harvest. Since we were able to deliver more water, we're getting more crop with 4 parts per million and 2 parts per million. But statistically, 1 and 2 are not different. Average cluster weight is quite different. We also looked at the colonization of the roots with mycorrhizae. Mycorrhizae is a beneficial fungi. It will start colonizing roots naturally as you introduce stresses. We do not see it, the vines are going to, root stress with 4 parts per million. It has the smallest colonization with 4, a little bit more with 2, highest with 1 ppm, which essentially means that it's not delivering the right amount of water to the vineyard system. So when we look at the wine, what we're seeing is differences in color intensity. Of course, the most dehydrated grapes will have the highest color intensity, followed by 2, followed by 4. when we look at the real quality, we're seeing the highest polymeric anthocyanins, which may not be as desirable with 4 parts per million, meaning that they will not be stable in the long run. If we break down the anthocyanins to their proportions, we have the highest stability with 1 part per million and 2 parts per million, followed by 4 parts per million. And we have the least stable with 4 parts per million. Likewise, we see the same results with flavonols. So this is how the wine physical characteristics look like. This is the bottled wine. They all made it to about 15% alcohol. pH is, as you can see, we have the highest pH with 4 parts per million, followed by 2 and 1. Similar in titratable acidity. We had the highest residual sugar with 1 part per million. And we also had the highest volatile acidity with 1 part per million. So although it's making the highest anthocyanins, this is not a viable option under our conditions. So when they were tested, this is what we found: 1 part per million. It had the highest intensity and tonality, very high antioxidant content. It had low pH. However, it had a very high residual sugar, very high volatile acidity. 2 ppm had the high intensity and tonality, also very high antioxidant content, but it was the most balanced. It had low pH, low residual sugar, low volatile acidity. 4, we were able to deliver more water with this, if you recall. We had a very low intensity and tonality, low antioxidant content, high pH, low TA, low residual sugar, and low VA. So it makes a commercial bulk style wine with this approach. So this is how I would summarize it. If we're looking for yields, 4 ppm is the best one. If we're looking for color intensity, that's stable, 2 ppm. Again, more color stability with 2 ppm, and methylated anthocyanins, again with 2 ppm. So for us, that was the best performing one for grapevines, or for wine grapes in the warm climate. So you have a high yield, best analytical parameters, and of course, this is going to be the most cost-effective one. We're saying it's more cost-effective because you're essentially able to apply the double the amount of water with less cleaning with this approach. If you're able to clean these lines, so I mean, these have been sitting like this for 8-9 years, right? With like gunk in them, and you saw how we were able to even like grow moss under the emitters. So if you're able to clean them like this, you're essentially able to deliver the correct amount of water at like essentially half the cost at 2 ppm.
In your control,
Mm-hmm.
or your, I guess, controller 1 ppm, were you providing enough water, or do you feel that, is this from a commercial point of view?
Yeah, it was the commercial application. So 1 ppm would be similar to about like 25% of reference ET here in Napa, or the 50% of ET crop. So it was getting enough water, roughly about 6 inches during the summer here. So it works as a very good maintenance thing. So we're in the second year, and we're not seeing any deviation from this this year either.
So Con, you guys didn't do any sort of line flushing in conjunction with this?
No, we did not do the line flushing. Well, I mean, at the beginning of the season, we do the line flushing, but we injected 4 parts per million, let it sit there overnight. Then I, went about our daily business rest of the season. So,
Gotcha. Did you track what? So it sounds like you tracked water applies that the vines actually received.
Yes, of course, of course. Everywhere.
Okay.
I mean, each treatment received about 6.2 acre inches of water this year. I mean,
Okay.
that year.
And that was that's how much you plan to put out. But then I guess it sounds like the 4 p.m. and the 2 p.m. actually got the proper amount of water.
Yeah,
Whereas
that's
the
correct.
one
That's correct.
did not.
That's correct. That's
Okay.
exactly what our finding is. And when we put the actual amounts to paper, so it's roughly about it's equating to about 6.2 acre inches of water. So
Okay. Let's see. So you guys use pond water there, so that means you guys were primarily dealing with like biological plugging.
yes, so we have a lot of algae. We had a lot of bacteria, and then we took the samples and sent them for biome analyses. But I have not received those results yet because that's sDNA analyses, and it takes a little while to plot this stuff out. So yeah, we have
Gotcha.
lots of interesting things in our pond.
Yeah. So what do you guys do for pre-filtration? Is it like just a disc filter?
Yes, we have a Arcal media filter. We have 3 discs in
Okay.
there. So, but yeah, I mean that's what we have. We used to have like a sand media, but that was one of the first thing I did when I took over this station. We replaced that because I mean it's pond water. It was coming out black. So.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. And so, did you notice any differences in like infiltration? Because I know that the Phyto-Cat has some like has some surfactants. Did you measure that at all, or anecdotally
we
notice any
didn't have any
differences?
standing water. I mean, here we would irrigate at the most 8 to 9 hours a week. So I mean, at like 4-hour
Okay.
cycles, we don't have any standing water. Although this is all
Gotcha.
clay. I mean, they say this is like a loam soil, but I don't know what USDA was drinking. This is clay, like enough to make pus and things out of.
Gotcha.
Do you have any thoughts on how to refining, let's say, the nutrient uptake or the soil analysis?
So we did get the mineral nutrient analyses results back. So fertilizers delivered via injection, and then in each year we apply the same amount here, roughly about 17 to 18 pounds of actual nitrogen to the acre here. And of course, 2 parts per million, 4 parts per million had the highest nitrogen and potassium uptake following the initial year.
Okay.
So that's what we found.
What about the soil microbiology? Anything?
I don't have those results yet.
Okay. Even though, as I remember, there was it was observable. You could observe.
You're still seeing my screen, right? So let me
Yeah.
bring that up. So yeah, I mean, we're able to measure the stuff that we can measure here,
Yes.
but the ones that we sent out for analyses, I have not received yet. So,
Okay.
but what this indicates is that there's a less, I mean, there's mathematically a less colonization by a mycorrhizae because there's not enough water stress if you go above 2 parts per million. So, but I think this probably would be a good solution for like major production areas where they have to constantly inject sulfur. But this is much softer.
Yes.
Hey, Con, what do you mean inject sulfur? Like to clean the lines or to improve the soil?
to clean the lines. So we're working a lot in Fresno, west side of Fresno area. I mean, there's like giant like balls of sulfur that they're constantly injecting, even from well sites, because when you have like a half mile to a 3/4 of a mile irrigation line, half-inch line, at night
Right.
this sits in a hot water, in a hot weather, in a black tubing. So stuff
Yeah.
grows in there pretty good. I think I sent Parker a picture from our last visit to Fresno. I was like ready to throw up.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it sounds like it works great out against biological plugging. I'm just curious to see how it works like against bicarbs, high pH sort of water situation.
We've had quite good success with that, and with iron, which is very problematic in certain areas. Primarily, most of our work with that is out in Texas and other places with Netafim, where they were not able to solve that problem over the years.
And okay, so to follow up on that, so what rate do you guys use for that for like high bicarb situation?
Same rates.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's proven to be quite good. In some of this, what we've also done is altered the injection, let's say every other week or every 2 weeks. But this is where they're very high watering requirements, and
Okay.
we just stay ahead of the problem that way. One of the things that we've observed is that as a tool you can adjust this. I know with the Foley group, they like 3 parts per million particularly. They find that's the sweet spot for them. But it's different if you're in the valley where it's very, very hot, a lot of sunlight. You want more canopy, as opposed to if you're in on the coast and you don't want to drive your canopy growth as much. So it allows you a fair degree of flexibility that way. Hopefully, this year we're going to get a little bit deeper into the soil microbiology and
Yes.
Yeah, because I think that's over time. If we can build that, that's going to be very positive for the plant health and all that. Particularly, if we can keep it very healthy, aerobic biomass in there.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, it's exciting.
Yeah.
For us.
Con, you said to me, told us famously that I think the first day I met you that a plant is a plant, and I don't know. We're talking about grapes here, wine grapes, but are you able to extrapolate from your findings into what would be a useful application in other sorts of crops?
No, I can't.
Nuts, pistachios, whatever.
I can't, but if you have more water availability, they probably would grow a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I mean, that probably has to be done or tested.